Hi everyone, welcome to Drumfills Kafé. My name is Eric Boudreau. I'm super happy to have you here today. I'm very thrilled because there's a pretty good show with a lot of good guesses. But first, I want to talk a bit about Drumfills Kafé. If you didn't watch the show before, you can go on the channel, the YouTube channel, and subscribe. And there's already like 8 videos there, 8 shows. Two in English, the other one are in French. But you're more welcome to rewatch them. If you didn't know, last week 2 weeks ago we had Todd Zuckerman, and the lineup is crazy. So just go check those videos. You can subscribe on the YouTube channel of Drumfills Kafé. I also have the Instagram. It's not completed yet, but there's like a few information, but more the months will go forward. We'll add information, so you're more than welcome to follow the Instagram. Same thing with the Facebook page of Drumfills Kafé. I invite you to go subscribe to them. So there's 3 things for now. All the show, usually I do 2 world editions. So today's a world edition, and every week I'm doing a show, but in French from where I'm from. I'm from Montreal. So we have like a show with the local drummer or local musician or people in the drumming industry, so they can watch their local artists from there. Please, if you can help your music store or your teacher or your store, I mean, like by that, if you were planning to take lessons of drum lessons or any lesson, percussion, whatever, these people, they will be thrilled. Even if there's the pandemic, like the COVID-19, they're still active. Most of them teach online. So it's something I really try to push myself to do that too. Same for the music store. If you have anything in mind, you wanted to get a snare drum, whatever, most of them are still active online. So if you have time, don't be shy. Just call them, write to them, and I hope in a few weeks the doors of those stores might be open, so you can get your equipment. You can put it aside or make delivery. Now it's very famous for that too. So this is something too. And school, I mean, there's school like still active right now. It's not because for example, some college are still teaching right now. So if you are a student and you wanted to take a lesson, let's say in Berkeley College in Boston, you can always subscribe online, and they have lessons. And it's a good time, because if you stay in your house for like a few weeks more, a month, you don't need to subscribe for a full semester. You can take a few lessons for like for a week or 2. They have like short lessons. So I invite you to do that in whatever school. There's millions of nice schools all around the world. So this is another good accessibilities for you. I don't know if it's over, but if you didn't know, Drum Channel, they were offering 30 days free during the pandemic. So you could subscribe online and you have access to videos, drumming stuff, like lessons. So I don't know if it's over, but if it's not, go there, subscribe. It's free for 30 days. So it's pretty good. Tomorrow I have a show in French, the French version. I have Sylvain Portelance, Joanne Blondin, and Philippe Gauthier-Boudreau. So it will be good. If you're curious, you're more than welcome to show up tomorrow. So yeah, so let's go with the show of today. We have a pretty big lineup. So let's start with that. My first guest, I know him since a while now. He started playing the drum at 7 years old. He studied with Don Famularo, Jim Chapin, Jim Blakely, and many more drummers. He has actually he subbed me. He was my substitute for 2 cities, Phoenix and Arizona, and Mexico during the tour of Odiseo by Cavalia. He took over my place for a few weeks because I couldn't make it for a different reason, but I was touring with other shows. But yes, we did a very good job on that. He has his own band, Modus Factors. They released a few songs, they have albums, so you can check it out online. He's a drum clinician, he's a drum teacher. I teach a lot online and in person, so if you want, you can contact him for lessons. Actually, he have his own channel, LTR, Life Through Rhythms. We'll talk about that today. And he's endorsed the brand Sonor, Remo, Vickford, and Sabian. So let's go with my friend. Hello, Chris Lesso. How are you doing?
Good to see you, Eric. I'm fantastic. How are you, man?
Very good. Happy to see you there. So you just finished a lesson, right?
I just finished. I'm busier than ever online, and we're doing like group sessions and LTR live cast where we have like guests around the world, and within every crisis is an opportunity. And the really cool opportunity right now is that, we're finding ways to connect despite the distancing. So we don't want to isolate. It's physical distancing, but not social distancing. So right now we're connected and we need to come together and connect more than ever before. And that's one of the opportunities. If the pandemic wasn't happening, I don't know if we'd be connected right now. And I've got, some amazing guests coming on my live cast too. I know you do as well. And we're really coming together in ways that maybe we wouldn't be if this wasn't happening. So
It's pretty good.
tapping into the power of community.
But you have been really active anyway online for a while. You're not like using, maybe this is a good time for doing that, but before that you're already active with like teaching or like podcasting stuff. So well, actually we could start about that. Talk about your channel a little bit. It's very cool. Like check it out a few times, like since over the years. And can you talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely, Eric. Like LTR stands for Life Through Rhythm. So it's our best selves through drumming, right? So we play who we are. So every time you or me or whoever plays at the drum set, who we are as people comes through every note. I've always been fascinated that as I increase my focus and discipline, my drumming increases.
For sure.
As my life becomes more simplified and direct, it carries over on the drum set. Even to being able to focus on a groove without playing like too many fills. That's really a focus thing, and it's a mind thing, and it's a spirit thing. And as I believe in myself, like I was talking about this today with some people, when you believe in yourself and you believe what you have to say has value, you can be yourself on the instrument and have your self-expression come through instead of trying to kind of hide behind someone else's persona that you're never gonna achieve anyway. You can't
your own signature. You will have your own
signature. Exactly. So we can be like inspired by the John Bonhams and the different players, and I've been inspired by your playing greatly.
You too.
What you're doing and how you're inspiring drummers and what you do. So it's like our fingerprints kind of come through the instrument. So these things, as we live as people, then when we get behind the kit, we have our story to tell. And I've always been fascinated in that connection. The paradiddles are great. The technique is great. There's a million books about that. But I'm really fascinated with those other aspects that really bring out who we are on the drum set, and just exploring all these exciting ways that are just fun, outlets like the podcasting and YouTube channel, what you're doing right now. Like we're Facebook Live, we're connecting with drummers around the world, Japan, Australia. It's like there's no borders, man. I think you're in Mexico City right now, right?
Yep, exactly.
Mind-blowing. And part of it too, Eric, is like, and I know you feel this, as you do Drumfills Kafé and as I do my LTR stuff,
it's pretty good.
We are students.
Oh, for sure.
Right? I have Randy Cook coming on Monday. He's one of my favorite drummers, man. So I get to spend time with him. Dom was just on a couple days ago. We got Rich Redmond coming on in a few days. Like, I'm learning just as much as anybody else. So these outlets are just different ways to be the eternal student.
Yeah, you said something very good too. You said about focus. A lot of musicians doesn't put a lot of attention on that. But I'm totally agree with you. You can play one show per week, but when you do a lot of shows, or it's not about just shows, it can be teaching about. But if you lose the focus, it's harder to get that feel or be connected with the other musician or with the student you will work with. I talk about that because I have to live like that, and you try my work too, like to do like 6 to 8 shows per week, and to give the same qualities of show. But this is super hard, and it's hard to keep the focus with your signature, but with the signature of the artistic director too, or the music composer. So you need to find that line where you put yourself in. You know what I mean? So it's because if, like you said, if you want to be another guy playing that gig, maybe it won't sound great. But if you are yourself doing the best as you can and you're focused, it will fit the gig anyway. You know what I mean?
Exactly. It elevates it. And as drummers, Eric, and I know you feel this, it's like we're servant leaders,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah,
We're lead much in the way our heartbeat works, which is the ultimate drum and the ultimate rhythm.
exactly.
Like we're the heartbeat behind it, but we're serving the greater good of the song, the musical director, the elevation of the other soloists, you know,
Yeah.
and really the real challenge that I find as I, go through life more and more is like playing the long game,
Yeah.
right? Like long-term excellence. And one thing I'm impressed about you, and I really felt this by actually, stepping into your shoes and doing the
Oh, you
show.
did well. You did a very good job.
Thank you. It was a massive challenge, and it gave me a new respect for what you do. Is like you did, I think, thousands of shows. How many shows technically? Just
Oh,
rough.
me? Oh, I passed 5,000 shows.
I
I've
was gonna
done.
say 5,000. I'm like, is that
Yeah,
really right? Like
yeah,
that's
yeah. I jumped 5,000. I don't count now. But with different companies, with the DCO, I think I did around 2,000 ish, and with Kavaya one, I did around 800-900. I don't. But the other companies, Cirque and all, I don't count them. So I I passed the 5,000 now.
exactly. I'm looking around behind you. I don't see any crutches. I don't see a neck brace.
Nope.
You're very
I hope so. Touching wood.
yeah, exactly. Like you're actually using drum, and that says something about your technique. And I think Dom and Jim Chapin and those guys. It's like if you're really loose and going
Oh
for
yeah.
effortlessness, yeah, you're able to play at a high level for literally hundreds and thousands of shows and keep that long-term excellence. And you mentioned focus.
Mm-hmm.
The challenge is really keeping it, that long game, which is really my goal, the long game. And then like even if you have a so-called bad day, you're
Uh-huh.
still hitting a high standard. And
Oh
that's
yeah, for sure.
in Cirque du Soleil and shows like that. That's or any really decent good band, you're gonna have
Oh,
to come out with a high standard. And focus really is a muscle.
yep.
And that's kind of one of the first essential ingredients. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what I really try to work on daily in myself and share with my students.
I remember you have a very like a loose technique. I mean, not loose in the bad way. Loose like when your motion are very like you don't force. And this is actually good. I was checking. You start at 7 years old. I remember you told me that. But when you started, I know you studied with different teacher. But have you passed by people to show you how to set up and to be loose, or you when you start you did all the mistakes as everybody do, you copy a setup from someone you saw on TV and it was yours until you changed? How you managed from 7 years old until you grew up as a college guy, university?
Yeah, Eric, and I'm sure maybe you can relate to this. One thing that makes you a good teacher sometimes is when you've done the wrong thing. And you can tell somebody like, yes, squeezing the sticks, not a good idea because I did it. And I remember playing a show, and song 2 in hour and a half show, my blister breaks on my hand. I have this like blister on my finger right there. And I'm playing it. And song 2, I remember my parents were there and it was just a big gig for me at the time. I think I was 18. And yeah, blister breaks, man. I'm playing. I'm like, oh. And it's song 2. There's no going anywhere. Right?
Wow. So
Like the show has just begun.
you learn.
And brutal, man. And just mistakes like that, mistakes like setting up or moving my body to the drums instead of letting the drums be an extension of my body.
I understand.
Which is the drums. You should be able to close your eyes and it's like everything is just effortlessly there. And
it's good to do that. Actually, there's one guy who asked a question. He's like, speaking of looseness and muscle, what do you suggest as exercises to do in the gym to improve legs, foot, and wrist stamina? If you have any suggestion or what do you do?
Good
As an example.
question. I heard this asked to some of my teachers and mentors, and it was put to me like if you can imagine Arnold Schwarzenegger behind the drums.
Yeah.
And I'm a wiry, skinny guy, right? And I'm not Arnold. If you could think of just imagine behind the drums, yeah. And sometimes stuff you do in the gym would kind of get in the way of the drum set.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of drum set is not a like a building muscle and a lot of the types of muscles would actually might get in the way. You know, if you lift weights all the time and then you get behind the set, that might kind of tighten up your muscles and actually add bulk to your muscles. So some of the exercises in a gym, I'd say things like yoga, you know, running, breath work. Those are more, you know, getting out into a forest and walking. I think those are a little more maybe conducive to drumming than a gym with weights and things like that.
Yeah.
What do you think? That's a good question.
Yeah, because I have my friend Mark just add, how do you keep loose before going on stage? So after the gym, let's go, you're going on stage. How you prepare yourself for that? You know, like we always did that. A show always good. I was in a punk band and I like super fast, like and your foot stop working because the muscle is not enough like warmed up. So what do you do?
Yeah, good question. Before I go on, I love the pumping motion exercise, which is just getting the sticks. You're doing what's called a low molar.
Yep.
Which is just a whipping motion of the stick, but done with the wrist.
You see what?
Right. And if I catch that,
yep,
I'm getting some free taps. So I can go 4, 3s, 2s. So I'm just doing that kind of whipping motion there, which I love to use this as a warm-up because it's loose. I'm kind of getting the blood to the muscles. I'm training my muscles to go with the momentum of the stick, right? And use power versus force. So I'm not forcing it, but kind of getting my muscles used to that motion. And that kind of carries over into like, how would you move from a snare to a cymbal? You can see that same kind of motion there. If you're playing a paradiddle, you're going to see the same movement can be a good tool to help you. Yeah. And I mean, I've seen you play, Eric. It's like you use this in every note you play.
We have ideas in common, you and me. I remember, like, for example, circle motion, my kind of mentality.
Yeah.
Everything is close. You don't need. Actually, it's funny I say that because you always make mistakes. You say, and you learn from those mistakes. I did a drum clinic like a month ago and a half before they shut down everything, and I decided to put my cymbals higher, not in my normal motion. You know what I mean? Just for try. Worst thing ever, because I was making a wall in my circle natural motion of my body. You know, I didn't listen to my body. I listened. I said, I would do that, but you always learn. And I'm not like 15 and green, and you know what I mean. So you always make mistake at whatever age, and you just said it. We are all students, and we learn from that. And the motion you did, Buddy Rich was doing that too, and even with traditional. Like clack, like pull, like clack, pull, clack.
Yes.
And it's worked out. Try at home. It's something to try, but it's very fun.
I go to it first because it kind of sets the foundation for anything I'm going to do. You know, I get my looseness in there. I got my speed. It kind of centers me, and it works out as a good foundation. But I love what you said there. Natural, and the root word of natural is nature. So we want to, that's kind of the overlaying philosophy of everything, Eric, is like work with nature, not against, right? So for anybody warming up, there's different things you could do. But if you feel any tension, you know, tension is the enemy of anything natural, tightness. So any kind of warm up that taps you into being loose, aligning yourself with nature so you can be your best self on the drums, I think it's good. There's not one warm-up for everybody.
No, it's always different. And it's something I remember from you. I don't know if you do that anymore, but you had an open setup. Like it was kind of a mirror effect. for really. Do you do that kind of setup still, or?
Yes, yeah. I started that when I was about 24,
Okay.
and that was 18 years ago. So it was 2002. So yeah, 18 years ago, and I played 17 years before that cross. So
Oh, and you switch over complete.
yes, yeah, and not that, you know, this is art. The drum set is expressing your best self through the drums, right? So it's expressing yourself. You're telling a story. What's wrong with playing cross? What's wrong with playing traditional? Nothing. It's a silly kind of argument because it's your self-expression. But I used to be nice about this, Eric, where I'm like, if you want to try open-handed, it's up to you. Now I'm like, you must make at least 1% of your playing open-handed. Okay, yeah. Why? Because it'll make you think of new ideas. Like I guarantee it, if you sit at the set and you get your left hand on the hi-hat and your right hand on the snare, and you're like, whoa, I'm thinking of new things. So your creativity will,
for sure.
Yeah, it'll go up, right? Now, the other thing is your weaker hand is getting some different, jobs than you normally do in staying in your comfort zone. So you're pushing yourself to get outside of your comfort zone.
So cool.
Yeah, and even drummers like Steve Gadd, who plays cross, he plays, 50, the famous 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover. He's playing open-handed. The drummer from Korn, I'm gapping on his name right now.
There's a lot. Ray Luzier, you mean?
Ray Luzier, that's it. He plays, a little, maybe 50-50 open-handed. So, and I know you do it. I've seen some great grooves you play in what you're doing. So it just opens things up a little bit.
It's true. Actually, what I've learned that when I was a kid, I've seen Dave Weckl in clinic. I don't remember, Montreal, Quebec City. I don't remember. Like I was like 13, 14 years old. And he was telling people, when you start, put a bass drum, a snare, a hi-hat. Start with the basic. Yes. Start from there. And after that, try to see what you can create. And it's like, and if you want to challenge yourself, put it lefty if you're righty, or righty if you're lefty. So I put my drum lefty. And I had a roommate long time ago in college. He brought his drum in my city, but he couldn't put it in the college. So I told him, put in my basement, my studio. So perfect. So we set up his kit, but he was a lefty guy. So every time I was doing something right, I was trying in the left side.
Oh, man.
A samba left or jazz pattern with your left hand, like ding, 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 but ding, ding, ding. It sounds, yeah.
Exactly.
You have to practice.
I love that, even just to practice it.
Yeah.
And Mike Mangini, there's a modern drummer drum festival. Maybe it's 2006 or something like that. It's a DVD you can get. It's when Mike Mangini was on.
I saw that one. I remember. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and he did just what you mentioned, just to make a point. Where he saw it. So he had a right-handed traditional cross set, and then right next to it, a left-handed, cross set, and kind of would play a little bit on one, and then go a little bit to the other. Yeah, and he was just making the point that you just made. It's like, try it and see, just your brain to adapt to that and see what it feels like. Yeah, and it opens it up.
And on the gig you saw me, I had a foot surgery when I was in Salt Lake, Denver, and but I'm a tough guy, and we're a musician, so when you got sick at your work in general, they would say, I will get paid, but myself, I could get paid, but I don't have unions, so I have theoretically one, but I said, nah, I will do the show, so give me 2 days for rest, and I have days off. But when I set up, it was my right foot, I couldn't play, so I set up my bass drum on my left foot with a double bass drum pedal, but I have 2 hi-hats, so I switch over. So I did the entire show in half lefty, half righty.
Wow.
And it's funny because when I did that for about 2 weeks, and it's funny because some song I was grooving those songs in a better way than my normal way. Kind of sloppy a bit, but we like it. It's like, well, I'm sloppy. I'm trying to make it happen.
100%. I've heard maybe it was Kenny Aronoff say that. He's like, just like what you said, it's almost like having Jekyll and Hyde. It's like having another it's like if you're an actor, you have another character you can pull out.
So true.
Yeah, so even if you never, that's actually an advantage. If you 99% played cross and you got a nice silky, perfect sound, and you're like, whoa, I never do this, and you go lefty on the hi-hat, you're gonna have like a gritty, dirty, maybe like you said, like more kind of sloppy sound, which may be the perfect thing you need.
Yeah.
Song, right? And
Well,
theme, which brings it back to what we were talking about at the beginning, opportunity and crisis. You broke your freaking foot and you're like, I'm going to use this to be better and to grow and to get out of my comfort zone. So cool.
Yeah. About that, you did a lot of drum clinic, master class, like motivation, like speech and stuff like that. What are your goals exactly when you do that? Yeah, because we talk about the musician. We always really start, but for sure, when you arrive in there's an audience, and there's not necessarily just drummers. They have different people. So, are you trying to just pass a message like, okay, you need to do that, or when you go into those events, what are your goals in mind for starting those events?
Amazing question. When I started, I think the first event I ever did, I had this piece of paper, Eric, and it was like, okay, I'm going to cover this. And I went out there, and that's putting the focus on me. It's like, I'm going to cover and it's giving value. It's like, but I'm thinking of what I'm going to cover or what I'm going to go over. And what I quickly realized is like, it's about them. And in LTR, Life Through Rhythm, we say like, it's your best self through drumming. It's your best self through drumming. So I kind of read and it's like what we're doing right now. We're having an improvised conversation, and fun, and we're getting the best out of each other, and hopefully people are feeling the good vibe we're having.
I hope so.
Yeah, that's just what having done so many of these, Eric, it's like I take the focus off myself. I look at the room and I just try to serve and bring out that excitement, that drumming. Look at the drum behind you. I'm excited looking at that drum.
Yep.
Like, I nerd out on it. Wow, look at the finish, and I'd love to hit it, and where did I want to get one? And I nerd out with that feeling. We all know it when we're in a music store. You looking around at the drums, and I'm constantly trying to tap into that. And the key to unlock that is different. I've done this at schools with kindergartens. I've done this with, at colleges with people that want to be professional. And I've done this in senior homes where they want to use drumming to just feel a part of a community and just to move and get some energy going. So it's not about me. It's about finding the way to unlock that excitement and that childlike quality that music and drumming is. It's the essence of it.
Oh, for sure. And following that question, you're teaching online, you're teaching in private, I mean in person. Do you need to be self-taught necessarily? And you say, I don't want to have drum lessons, or you suggest at least to say, okay, even if you want self-taught, you don't want to do college, universities, like high school, whatever, in drum, you want to have your rock band, but do you suggest to at least see 1 or 2 times like a drummer for help yourself to be better drummer, even if you're self-taught, or how you see that in general?
So the story of the lone wolf never ends well. Okay. The wolf that's away from the pack is going to get injured. It's going to get sick. It's going to be weak, and it's eventually just going to die. It never ends well. It's a sad story. So if you can tap into some kind of mastermind, some kind of mentors, something higher than yourself. We're doing it right now. We talked about it before. We're students. So that's what it's about. And whenever I've tried to be alone, go at it, the lone wolf, like I can do this myself and I'm going to be self-taught. There's periods where I think that's kind of cool, like to go, to be self-taught for a while, but ultimately it's going to slow you down.
It's possible too.
Right? So get some mentors, get some inspiration. And one of my biggest mentors is Bruce Lee, man.
For sure.
Bruce Lee is long gone, but I've studied his stuff, and we were talking before about effortlessness and just how to express the true self of who you are. Bruce Lee was all about this, man, and there's so many connections. He's one of my favorite drummers. I mean, he never picked up, right?
Yeah, actually, you did something intense too. You studied tabla, and it's not a lot of people, and this is hard too.
Yeah, my teacher, the Indian system of teaching, Eric, is kind of brutal and gruff. It's like
it got you like right there.
Oh my God, yeah. It's not nice, and it's not gonna hold your hand. And my teacher, I did it the old school way. I actually went to India at one point to
learn to get that thing for real.
Exactly, to get it the essence of it. And I remember my teacher is like, "You will suck for 2 years."
But it's honest. It's like, okay, that's perfect. No,
totally honest. And at least with a drum set, Eric, it's gonna sound good, just like do ga boosh. Like day one, it'll sound kind of cool. Tabla, like, forget about it, man. It's kind of like the violin. You're gonna suck for like a year.
It's hard. I played violin for like 4 years. And my first year, I think I was bleeding for my eyes and everything. It was so hard. Even but you know what I mean? But after you start to be better, and it's okay. But yeah, it's question. But this is a good question too of focus. We were talking about that at the beginning. But tabla need a lot of focus.
Oh my God, it's all about that. And they actually discourage writing down, the way that we traditionally, we open up a book and we learn to read. There's so much emphasis on, I started doing piano lessons, and it's like, counting and reading. And the Indian tradition is oral, strictly oral.
It's true. Tabadi. You have to learn those
words.
Yeah,
da, takadimi, da. It's all, you have to speak it first. So, oh my gosh, is it ever focused? They almost think you're like something's wrong with you if you got to write it down. It's like, aren't you concentrating? Like, listen, think, and try to execute. And if your mind starts to wander, you need to bring it back. It's like being in cold water. It's like you can't think of anything except the intensity of the cold. Yeah. It's really good for that.
We have around 2 minutes because I try to have around 30 per person, and because time flies fast. I want you to tell everybody where they can reach you, what you offer, like as a teacher, and because we have time in the house, so where the people can reach you and right now.
Yeah, so the home base, Eric, is chrislesso.com. And I'm putting out weekly free content. So just put out a lesson a couple days ago. I've guests. We're tapping into the larger mastermind, which is global. So I also have guests that are former Navy SEALs, health experts, just anything that improves our drumming in terms of focus, health, and artistic expression. So it's all chrislesso.com's LTR podcast. During this crisis, I have something I'm putting out at no cost to everybody called the LTR Livecast.
Okay.
And you're actually going to be a guest coming up, the LTR Livecast. So, Eric, we'll have you on. We got like Randy Cook, Rich Redmond, Dom Famulero, all these guests. It's free. It's all at my website. And let's connect and just be better and use this crisis as an opportunity. So we look back on it and we say, wow, I actually became better during that time instead of being defeated. We don't want that.
It's true, because I've seen a lot of drummers challenging themselves, saying like, okay, I will do, let's say, whatever, like I will practice my single stroke, and I will try to speed up every day, just a little bit, a few beats per day, but be tight, to be clean, or like, okay, I'm going to try to learn that style. Or a lot of students ask me, because I did a lot of casino and hotel shows. When you do those shows, you need to learn like 500 songs. And a lot of people are always asking me like, what I should do for start those gigs? Well, learn 500 songs. Like, I will never do that. Like, well, you will never have those gigs. So you have to learn those vocabularies. And this is a really good moment. Even you don't like the song, you put the top 40 song right now, just play on it and just have fun to feel it. And this is the best time, because when those events will restart in 2021 or the end of 2020, you will be right there, because you will have learned already 200, 300, 400, 500 songs. So it's something they should take that moment. Well, Chris, thank you so much. You're a good friend. We met like a long time ago, around 10 years, 12 years ago. So it was fun to have you here. I hope the people will go see your video on YouTube. You have great video, by the way, from your drum clinics and masterclass. I suggest the people to go check it out if they don't know Chris Lesso. And we will talk soon, my friend.
Thank you, Eric. And thank you for everything you're doing for the drum community,
You
in
too.
your artistry and your passion for it. And we'll talk real soon.
Take care, buddy.
Awesome. Thanks, Eric. See you, man.
Bye. Well, cool. That was my friend Chris Lesso. By the way, if you missed the interview, you can always back. All the shows are recorded on YouTube. Actually, if you were not there the past 2 months, there's a lot of videos. You can go check it out right away. There's only 2 in English, and this will be the 3rd edition because I have World Edition only twice a month. The other shows are in French. So you can, but you're more than welcome to go check it out. And this summer, I will do capsules. So instead to be live from the end of June until the end of August, I will have pre-record capsule from all around the world. So, but it won't be live, and they will be probably 1 or 2 times per week. And in September, I have a few news coming out. It's not confirmed, but I might have the show in French, in English, and in Spanish. So in 3 different days every week. So, but I will back with you later on. Just don't forget to subscribe to YouTube channel for more visibility. Is the one I'm using the most for the broadcast. So please, if you can subscribe there. If you didn't know, I have a Instagram and a Facebook, Drumfills Kafé. And yeah, I was saying that at the beginning of the show. It's super important. Please help your store, help your teacher. Because sometimes you think they're in their house, they don't do nothing, but they're still there. So the business still to run. So if you had in mind to get a snare, check your store online or call them. They will be super happy to help you out and put those stuff out on the site for you. Same thing for your teacher. Look at that, like Chris is teaching from his place. A lot of people are teaching. So if you want that and you want to invest time and money, is the best thing, because you will just become better and you have time for practice until all will reopen. Next May 20th, the 2nd edition of May, on the World Edition, I have Maxime Diomin, I have Richard Irwin, Alex Lays, and Daru Jones. So same time will be at 6 p.m. Eastern time. For the people who are from Europe, is like, think about Toronto or New York time. That will be the hour where the show will start. So now let's go for the second guest. I know that guy from like around a year now, and he's from Mexico. Actually, he's from Guadalajara, but he lives in Mexico City. He's a professional since 20 years, probably more. He played with in a lot of festivals all around the world. He toured with different bands. Actually, he have a lot of bands. He has like a band called Pito Perez, Clon Demento, Descartes is a very famous one in Mexico, Todd, Padrinos, Teruca, and more. You can go check it out, his website. He's a DW Drum and PDP endorsee, Peisty, Vickford, Roland, and Kickport. I will present you right away, my friend Jorge Chavez. How are you doing?
Hey, how are you?
¿Cómo está?
Bien, bien. ¿Y tú?
Super
Are
bien.
we going to talk in English or in Spanish or Spanglish?
We'll do in
Or what?
English. We'll do in English, but if you want, you're
Okay.
more welcome to say a few words in Spanish. There's no problem with that at all.
Both.
So how are you doing in the quarantine?
Yeah, I'm fine. Really happy in the quarantine. It's a weird thing to say, I know, but because the thing is I have a newborn baby, a 9-month baby, a girl. So I'm really happy to be with my wife and with my baby. So
And do
I'm
you
taking
practice?
advantage. No, not really have any time to practice. I wish to, but I don't have any because of my baby. She need to take her. My wife is also doing home office. I'm also doing my online teaching in home also. So, but when I have time, I record 1 or 2 songs that I maybe upload in my social media and stuff, and that's it.
Yeah, you have.
But I'm really happy. No.
But this is important. Happy and healthy is what you
Yeah, exactly,
need right now.
exactly.
So
I'm really happy.
for the people they don't know you because you're in Mexico, and I mean Mexico country, and
Mhm.
but you're from Guadalajara. You work
Yeah.
a lot. You did a lot of shows. For the people they
Yeah.
don't know you, can you tell us a bit about when did you start? Where did you? I know you studied, but can you describe yourself a little bit?
Thank you, man. I studied in Guadalajara in a school called El Conservatorio de Música,
Uh-huh.
which is the official school over there, right? Of Universidad de Guadalajara, well, you know. So it was pretty hard study there because the people there doesn't dig. I don't know right now, but back then, I talking about the 1985, something like that. The people over there doesn't dig the drummers or the percussionists at all. So it was pretty hard for me, but really, really good time. I met a lot of people that until now they're my friends. I started as a drummer in 1992. No, not 1991. I'm sorry, because of a accident.
Okay.
It was an accident because
They didn't have drummer, and he's like, you gonna be
no,
the drummer.
the only drumming that I did back then in my childhood was with just a pair of drumsticks and with my sofa. You know,
Okay, yeah, like a
just
lot of
starting
people.
exactly. And the reason that I fall in love with the drums, the fault is because I saw this chapter, the Muppet Show, you know, Animal versus
Animal.
Valerie Rich. So I saw that and I was like, damn, that is the thing that I want to do all my life, you know.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Uh, yeah, until now, I just see the clip recently and I just laugh and have fun and remember the how fun is the thing, you know, the drumming.
Uh-huh.
That's why. But my thing is bands, you know, music bands.
Yeah, you have a lot of
Uh,
bands.
yeah, exactly. So I just started by accident, like I said before, because there was in high school contest, music contest.
Yep.
So their friends of mine started a band, and they searched for a drummer
Okay.
and asked in the classroom out loud. There's a drummer in the room, and I was like, yes,
I am
I am.
right
I
here.
am a drummer. I want to play with you guys. Okay, do you have a drum set? And I was like, no.
Oh, you say, yeah, 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 yeah. I have one. Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
No, no, no. I don't have one at the time, but I say a lie just because I wanted to be on the music contest. You know, I asked for my friends for my friends if they have a drum set, get a drum
Oh,
set and play the music contest. I won the first prize. You know.
that's cool. That's a good opportunity to challenge yourself.
Yeah, exactly. We I have the video actually in
I'll
VHS.
see. Okay.
Yeah, it was awful. I play all backwards, you know, the snare in the one and three, all backwards. But it was a pretty a good experience. All the school went nuts. Everybody, our friends, everybody went nuts, and we won.
You were entertaining the people, basically. That's what the people wanted.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
this is a good point, because sometimes we see drummers, but
Mhm.
there's a lot of drummer with a lot of techniques, but the people, they don't know. I mean, the public in general, they don't know. But if you're entertained well and you're really into what you are doing at that time, the people will believe it. Even if you do mistake, they
Exactly.
will take it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So it
I
was
agree
good.
with you.
Was very good you do that, and it's good challenge too. You put yourself in like I was talking with Chris, in a non-comfort zone, so
Mhm.
you have to to learn it fast.
Yeah.
I have a few questions for you today
Yeah,
because
totally.
I wanted we talk about because a lot of drummers they're coming from Pueblito, for little cities. Okay,
Mhm.
you're from a normal city, a big city, like 3 million people,
Yeah,
but
but
I'm
it's little,
but it's smaller.
Yeah.
But
Uh-huh.
but how was the scene in Guadalajara compared to La
Back then?
Ciudad de Mexico, like Mexico City, for example? Because it's two scenes, two sizes. Mexico City,
Yeah.
just for people to understand,
Yeah.
there's the same people of Canada in it. Okay, like there's like 30 million
Okay.
people, we're like 38 in Canada, so it's the
Uh-huh.
same. So how was for you the scene in Guadalajara and Mexico, and how you feel that when you change from one to the other?
Yeah, I feel, yes, I definitely feel change. In Guadalajara, it, like I said before, is smaller. Everybody, we know each other. It's
Yeah,
like a polito,
yeah,
you're talking about one thing or one about a one person, and
everybody know.
everybody knows exactly. And here is kind of like that, but it's here in Mexico City is bigger. It's almost like a strange mix of New York with LA.
Mhm.
I hear, and Guadalajara maybe it's like I don't know, like San Francisco, something like that, to put it in a sense.
Uh-huh. It makes sense.
Okay. In Guadalajara, the thing, to be truly honest with you and with everybody, is the thing that I like over there is we are like more. I don't know how to put it in English or even
Family,
in Spanish.
family.
No, man, we are like
Like
I don't know. We have a filter. I don't know how to put it. A filter that
yeah,
will like uh,
but
taste, a
okay,
musical taste,
musical
or
thing.
taste with art
Uh-huh.
in general. So because we are not a major city,
Hmm.
and not in the in 90s, not in the 2000s,
Was
where
different.
I grew up. Had so the when I discovered bands like Primus or Mr. Bungle or something like that
Uh-huh.
was because I do my research, I do my homework, and right now we have internet and stuff like that, but we still have a like a musical taste or a taste, a sense, a specific sense that I don't feel too much here in Mexico.
Okay.
It's rare to say. I don't know how to put it in better words, but
No, man, I can
uh,
understand. I've been. I come from a little town, and I moved to bigger and to bigger to the biggest one. You know what I mean? So I mean, I understand
everything
that
here is
step.
so mixed up, and they have their character here, but I think we have more like a specific character in Guadalajara,
Okay.
because oh no, I want to hear this thing. Otherwise, it's not going to be original at all. I don't know how to put it
I
in
understand. No, no, I understand, Ben. And but we have to say something. Guadalajara is the cultural city of
yeah.
Mexico. Is where there's the most. Mexico have a lot of museum, but I mean, but
Mhm.
I've been in Guadalajara, and I remember like your buildings and all, and even the music and the musicians are very good. You go in a restaurant, for example, you eat,
I think.
and the drummer, for example,
Mm.
and the musician, if I didn't have to put on my attention on them at the moment I was getting in, I was realizing, oh, they're good. And
Yeah,
you feel they studied and they have college or something in their back.
exactly.
They have the touch, you know.
Exactly. We did our homework over there. Alex Gomez is from there. Christian Gomez is from there.
Uh-huh.
Terrific, great drummers, man.
Uh-huh.
Really versatile drummers. That's another thing. We are really into a lot of genres, as from jazz to classical, metal, reggae is a big thing over there.
Oh yeah.
Hip hop is right now really, really big. That is the scene right now. Going back to your question, the scene right now, I kind of lost, but I went to Guadalajara in February. Descartes went to there play a show with Battles, one of my favorite bands and
Yeah.
favorite drummers.
Okay.
And I saw two bands. One was called, Coyote Ray. What is the name of one? And the another one I can't remember, but it was a strange mix of a Mexican, African, and hip hop
Okay.
urban. It
Yeah.
was it's like our thing almost. We are into fusion over
Okay.
there, and,
Fusion.
here also, but I saw it more, I don't know, more harder there. I don't know how to
It's
put it.
possible, but yeah, but there's less people,
Yeah,
more less places to deal with playing with
exactly,
bands, so you have to fight for your place, kind of.
exactly. Mhm.
But talking about that, you were in Guadalajara. You moved to Mexico City with your band
Mhm.
Descartes.
Exactly, 10 years
Uh,
ago, actually.
how many? 10 years?
10 years ago,
That's a
exactly.
lot. So how was the when you arrive here, you start doing show? Because I know you tour a lot. You've been in Russia, you did a lot of stuff. But can you
Mhm.
tell the audience a bit about Descartes, and a bit after that, can you talk about a little bit about the other project you've done to tour all around the world?
Mhm. Okay, El Descartes, we went 10 years ago here to Mexico City because we want to expand
Okay.
our music to other places. And I think because that, we went to Russia and Germany and Spain, stuff like that. Great countries, Europeans, South America. Also, Colombia is one of my favorite places to be and to
Okay.
play. Um, and we went here because of that, because we want to expand. And funny because we rent a house together. Everybody,
I've been there. I've been
yeah,
to
we
your.
live together. La, uh, Everybody, we were like 7 people, eight with my ex-girlfriend, in just one house. We have a rehearsal room there, but because of that, Descartes Acan is, I think we are like a family,
Mhm,
because we grew together these past 10 years. We know each other really, really good,
for sure.
to the point that sometimes we don't even talk, but we know what is going to be the next step.
Yeah,
You
you
know.
can read them, and you
Mhm.
are a very good example, or working hard and for being a band for those years. I was
Mhm.
talking about that actually with Todd Zuckerman. I asked him, "You've been with Sticks forever," so and he's like, "Yeah." And how you make it happen? It's like, well, I don't even know if I'm in the band necessarily. I mean, I'm in the band, but we didn't officially tell me you're the drummer. So and they started to have a very respectful kind of relation, and
Mhm.
he was telling me was it's you, like you said, you can see the other member and you can read them even if it doesn't like something or whatever.
Exactly.
So you can manage your temper, your okay, should I say that or not? So it's a work in progress, and it's hard to be in a band for a long time like you do, like you
It's,
just
it's, it's really hard, and I'm not into playing with artists. I respect the people that do that, but it's not my thing. My thing, like I've said before, is playing with bands, doing original music,
uh-huh.
to express myself and my bandmates' music. And yes, Descartes Acan is 20 years old, and I only have 10.
Okay.
It's a rough journey. I talked with my students about that, and because almost 80% of my students are like, how is to be with a band, and how is
How
to
you
do a
manage?
tour,
Uh-huh.
how do you manage? Do you study the songs, or how do you? And everything is just a resume of, okay, guys, I want to talk to you, and you have to be really, really patient. I have real great balls to be in a band. It's
But
really, really hard.
to just add something, you are in different bands, yes, but you
Yeah,
have bands are more like composition and things very
exactly.
like close, and there's other bands like the band you did tour, it are different kind of bands. There are bands, but you were doing like different kind of shows. So
Mhm,
Descartes is our original composition, but tell us
mhm.
about what the other band you tour with there, like what for going to Colombia, for example, or Vive Latino, and all those
Yeah,
big festival.
yeah. Almost all that you mentioned before is I do it. I did it with Descartes.
Oh, this is okay. Okay, I was thinking
Yeah,
you would.
this,
Okay, perfect.
the Descartes is my main band. I love him. I love the guys and I love the girls in the band. Is I like I said before, is my family. But I have this almost obsession with play uh, all kinds of music. You know,
That's
I
okay.
love drums, but I love music more.
Okay.
I started as a metal or rock guy, but as grew up as a student of the instrument, I fell in love with jazz, hip hop, Latin, Mexican music, Arabian music, French music. So I have this obsession that I want to play almost everything before I die.
Well,
So
good
yeah,
challenge.
that's a challenge. I know, but that's why I did Teruca. Teruca is a Mexican fusion band. We
Okay.
are not a famous band, but I want to mix all these. I want to mix banda with metal, norteño with hip hop and stuff like that.
That's a cool mix.
Exactly, and I don't know why anybody did it before. It's what I wanted to do right now. You know, um, Pito Perez was my first big band here in Mexico. Was a like alternative. I put it like it's a Café Tacuba with Primus
Okay.
mix,
Yeah, yeah,
Spanish
yeah.
mix, but I love it, and that's why I grew as a professional drummer, professional musician. I knew guys like Alex Gonzalez from Maná. Because of that, went to places like Conway, famous studios in LA in the 2000s, recorded there. Past three of my the greatest moments in my life there with Alex and Pito Perez. But I don't regret anything. I'm just looking forward every way I can. You know.
That's good. We have around 5 minutes
Okay.
before we're done.
Yeah, me too. Because I'm going to have a drum lesson
Alison,
in
so
6 minutes.
3, 4, 5 minutes max is done. Question actually about that. You
Uh-huh.
are teaching online right now.
Yeah.
How your student manage that, because you were teaching in person to person,
Yeah.
and when all that happened, how was the reaction for your student to switch with you online?
Okay, but I don't feel a big reaction. My guess is because we wanted to, we
Uh-huh.
wanted to looking forward. We wanted to work with the lessons. We wanted to go further and do our best
Mhm.
through the pandemic. You know, I feel really grateful and honored because my students are like my friends also.
That's
They
good.
are really good persons. Um, no, I have of everything. You know, I have the amateur, I have the professional,
It's
and
perfect.
everybody is really nice with me, and I'm also like that with them, because in my childhood, my drum teachers were not as good with me,
Okay.
and I grew with that idea, thinking like, okay, I'm going to be a drum teacher someday, and I don't want to be like that. You know, I think it's like a father,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
father
yeah.
like a father.
Father,
Yeah,
child.
father,
Yeah, yeah.
exactly.
Taking
Then
care of them.
exactly, I want to be their friend, but I want to be there when I need when they need me. And but we are cool. We are really
And Last question, quick.
Yeah.
And where the people can reach you if they want classes with you? If you can do it in English or in Spanish, so where they can reach you right now? Facebook, Instagram.
Yeah, exactly. I have my main drum page is jorgechavezdrummer.com, and you can reach me there. All my social network are there. In Facebook, I'm with also unlike also Jorge Chavez Drummer.
Okay.
And just reach me.
Just
Man,
before you will go, there's a chat
Yeah.
on the right side.
Exactly.
Put your website there. The people can hit the link and they can discover you if they don't know you. So I think
Here in live comments, right?
yeah, in the comments on the site. I thank you so much, my friend. I wish you a good class. Take care of you during the pandemic, and try to go back stronger. And we'll see you.
Exactly.
I will see you soon, my friend.
Abrazo. Nos vemos pronto. Gracias.
Bye bye. Take care.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, that was Jorge Chavez. So he will put his information if you want to discovering or having drum lesson with him. I suggest to really check out his website. Just before we go with my next guest, just 2 minutes, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, the Facebook page, and the Instagram. But first of all, YouTube is my favorite one because it's where all the videos are already loaded, so you can go check it out. The previous shows. There's only 2 shows in English, and the rest are in French. But if you don't mind, you can watch it out. And for next week, in 2 weeks, and in June, I will have 2-3 more total world edition, and after those editions are going to be back in September. Next week, May 20th, Maxime Dionin, Richard Irwin, Alex Lays, and Daru Jones will be part of the show. May 20th, and tomorrow I have a show in French at 8 o'clock Eastern time, so New York or Toronto time. You're more welcome to passing by. So my next guest, I know him since a while. He's owner and instructor of the Groove Studio in Victoria, BC. He's the author of 5 instructional books. It's hard. I wrote one. It's hard. 5. It's something. He's currently playing in BC with different bands. Justin Hewitt and the Thames. He's actually the producer of the Victoria International Drum Festival. If you heard about that big festival, it's a drum clinician. He's teaching online and in person in his studio. He's a Yamaha, Feisty, Evans, and Pickford endorsee. I would like to invite my friend Mary Creed.
Hey, how are you?
How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I can hear you well. This is great.
Yeah, me too. There's a little lag, but maybe that will pass in the time.
All right, sounds good.
You're back. Yeah, perfect. How are you doing?
I'm doing really well, thanks. Yeah.
You have a pretty good background, like I told you the other day. Look very good with the kit and all.
Yes, I'm very, very fortunate to have a studio in my house.
Yeah, that's pretty good. During the pandemic, you can just go downstairs and hit the drums. Your wife and kids, they don't mind, or?
No, they don't mind at all. Both of my daughters are drummers too, so they're down here all the time playing. So
I didn't know that. Well, thank you for being part of the show. I told you yesterday I'm very honored. I'm very happy to have you here because I want to talk about different aspects. But one of the point will be about your drum fest. But let's talk about you. When did you start playing drum? Why you choose drums? I mean, you could pick guitar or flute or like a crazy instrument like that, but you picked the drums.
You know, it's funny. I've been playing for so long now, and I don't really remember the one thing that kind of started the whole thing. But I started when I was 12 years old, and I'm going to be 50 years old this year. So I've been playing for 38 years. So it's a lot of years. And so I just, for as long as I know, I've just been playing the drums, right? Even when I was a kid before, when I say I started at 12, I started actually before that, but 12 is when I started taking lessons and got serious about it.
Okay.
I remember being a young kid and having drum sets, and I would just, destroy them, just like little play drum sets, and I would just break them and do whatever. Then it was gone, and then eventually I finally got a real drum set. And and then I lived with my my dad and my brother, and my dad said, "Listen, if you're gonna play the drums, then you need to get some lessons because I don't want to listen to a bunch of noise." And so he got me lessons, and then that's been it. I've been into lessons and studying drums ever since 12 years old. So. Yeah,
did you do the traditional path like middle school, high school, whatever university or college, do you do that path, or private teacher all the time? And
Yeah, so I started with a private teacher from 12 till about 16,
okay,
and played in bands in my high school. And then it was after graduating from high school that I decided that I wanted to go to PIT in Los Angeles.
it's true. It's true.
So myself and my good friend Mike, who was a guitar player, we moved to Hollywood and studied down there for the entire year. I did drums and he did guitar.
Okay.
And we lived in Hollywood and studied with the greatest teachers on the planet, and
For sure.
Ralph Humphrey and Joe Porcaro and Efren Toro, and just so many great teachers.
It's a good school. I've been there. I didn't study there, but I've been there a few times. I saw like some master class there when I was living in Los Angeles too, and it's a great school. It's super clean, and it's cool because you can walk on the boulevard and you just jumped in, and there's the stage, and you can watch a lot of things. So imagine how many accessibilities you had with drum teacher.
Yes, it was incredible, and the different clinicians that came through that school, because everybody, when they came to LA, they wanted to play at PIT, or Musicians Institute, and so we saw everybody, and it was incredible. And then of course we could just go out in the evenings and go see incredible bands too. So it was a great experience, that's for sure. And it kind of what sort of started me on my path to, at that point I thought I was going to be in a band and touring, and that was sort of my goal at that point. But then I realized how much I loved what the teachers were delivering. And so I went, wait a second here. I think that I could actually be a teacher and on top of this stuff. And that's kind of what really started the whole thing for me. So I did a lot of touring in bands, and, we had some great success in Canada with albums that we released and videos on Much Music and things. Cool. And it was great, and did a lot of touring of the country. But when I was doing that, I always sort of, I always kind of had in the back of my mind that teaching. Yeah, teaching is kind of would allow me to play the drums and explain this stuff. So once we recorded our first album, I gave a copy to my old drum teacher. And I said, hey, I just wanted to thank you for getting me started. When I was 12 years old to 16, I said, here's a copy of the album. And he says, really? You went to PIT and you've got this out? He says, do you want to do some teaching? And I went, yeah.
Yeah, why not?
So he gave me 6 of his students on a Saturday afternoon.
Oh, that's cool.
And I've gone on to teach hundreds of students since then. So I've been teaching now for 26 years. So.
All right. Cheers for that. Well, actually, it's fun just to make a parallel. You said you started your own studio, Groove Studio, but how that started? Because you said a bit about that, but did you had your personal room and you started to have students, and one day you realized you could have a business of that, or you had some opportunities for start your own studio school?
Yes. Yeah. Totally. Well, I was teaching at a couple of different studios, and I had this sort of vision of what I wanted drum lessons to be. And I knew that in the facilities that I was teaching, I wasn't going to be able to fulfill that. So I decided, basically, my wife and I decided to buy a house where we could have the studio downstairs, and I could make it what I wanted a studio to be. So it's been it's been 20 years now that we've been doing this. And, lucky for me, fortunate for me, we have a lot of students that like to come for lessons. I see about 60 people a week, which keeps me really busy. And, yeah, I mean, I get to play drums all day long, and I live, I work at home. So it's the best of both worlds, really.
Saving on gas, saving on time. You're not stuck in LA traffic, or you know what I mean. So you have a perfect time. Actually, for you, the pandemic will change because the people won't go to your place, but you will teach online, like you told me. But you will still go to your same office. So it's for you, except the media, the way the source will be different. Your office is still the same, and you're lucky one to have that.
Yes, yeah, I'm very, very fortunate to have this set up like this behind us here. This is where I do all the filming for all the lessons. And so what I did, I chose to do at this point with this situation that we're in, is that I decided to do video lessons as opposed to Skype lessons or Zoom lessons or FaceTime lessons. I'm basically filming videos from the pages of my book. As you mentioned, I've written 5 books.
5 books.
From instruction. So all I needed to know was where my students were in my books, and then I just started filming. And
it's pretty good.
I've almost filmed the entire first book, which is the beginner intermediate book, and I filmed maybe about a third of the advanced book, and then the other ones are there's different books, so double bass books and endurance books, and ones for my my students that have finished my advanced book that go on to the crazy stuff. So I mean, it's just it's a lot of fun. I'm having a lot of fun filming. I'm very fortunate that I love drumming and I love filming. So and video editing and things like that. So it's not like going to work. I come down here and it's just a lot of fun.
It's a good hobby, huh? To make I'm kind of like you for that. I really for a long time I was editing video for me or for other people I work with in bands, and it was kind of, I never see that as linked to my music. It's weird. I was saying, okay, I'm going to do videos for someone. It wasn't another thing, and I it's good because it's a good cut. Because sometimes to be too much in something, you can be tired of it. So when you do video for you, for example, you step back a bit and you can breathe and you're back and you're ready to hit the drums again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's the teaching aspect of it. There's the filming and doing all this type of thing too. But before we were taking this break, I was playing in a band, and we play basically 50 shows a year.
Yeah, that's a lot for.
It's really busy too. So it's that balance of playing in a band, teaching, creating educational videos or my books or things like this. It's just different parts of the puzzle that all fit together to create this really awesome life that I have, that I get to do. So
later at the end, I want you to tell everybody where they can get your books and remind me that, and where they can get in touch with you for your lessons you are recording. So but at the end, even if you can in the chat put a few information for where they can catch up. I want to talk about your drum fest in Victoria, because one of the reasons I invite you, because I want the people understand how hard it is to make an event like that. Because people, they have an idea, but they show up, they see the show, they are happy, they like the production, they go back home, they practice their drum. But in advance, there's so many stuff to prepare: the flight ticket, the reservation of the room, all that. So I want you tell us a bit about how you worked out for a big event like that, because you're one of the biggest in North America. So I want you tell us a bit about that.
Yes, for sure. Now, it's interesting, I started the festival. It was the 10th anniversary of my drum studio. And so I decided that was what I wanted to do, was have a big event to kind of kick off the big 10th anniversary. So that was 10 years ago, because we just basically had finished. It was a 10th anniversary of Groove Studios. We had the first festival. We've now done 10 festivals.
Whoa, okay.
So we've, to bring us to 20 years here at Groove Studios. So the festival started out just primarily as a way for me to inspire my students and the Victoria drumming community. That's all it was. That was the plan. And it just sort of grew. The people came out and they came to the show and they enjoyed it. I got a lot of great feedback, and I went, wow, maybe I should do more of these. Maybe I should do another one next year. And it just has kept snowballing. And we started off with, the very first year we had Ron Thaler from, he's originally from Victoria, right?
I know.
Great drummer, lives in New York. He was the first guy that I called upon. From there, we went to Pat Stewart and Gary Grace, a couple of incredible Canadian drummers.
I know them. Right? I know all them. Yep.
We then went a bit more international, where we had Dom Famularo and Scott Pellegrim, who you had on the show. Scott is a great buddy of mine, and of course Dom is like my mentor. Dom Famularo is just an incredible person. Yeah,
he's a mentor for many drummers too.
Yes,
not just for you, but for many drummers.
Yeah, and so that it's just gone on, and then we had Larnell Lewis back when I didn't really know too much about who Larnell was, and I met him in the airport. I came out to the Montreal Drum Festival actually, and to see what the festival was all about. And I met Larnell in the airport the next day, and I said, "Hey, would you come to Victoria and play at the festival?" He said, "Absolutely." And so boom, now I got Larnell Lewis in there, right? And I had seen him play in Montreal, so I knew what was going to happen, but I didn't know, a lot of other people hadn't heard of him at that point. So that was really great. That year we also had Mitch George from the Crash Test Dummies. We also had Mike Mikhalko, who's an incredible, educator. It was the next year after that it started to go even bigger. I landed Peter Erskine when I went down to the NAMM show. So about, when you start to plan a festival like this, you have to go out to these places and meet these people.
Yep.
And Peter Erskine was a chance meeting at the NAMM show, walking down, through the drum hall there in Anaheim. And a friend of a friend, Paul Quinn, introduced me to him. And Paul says, "Hey, Murray's got a drum festival in Canada." And Peter Erskine said, "I'd like to do that."
Yeah,
And the
we'll do
next thing you
that.
know, I got Peter Erskine on the bill, right? And then that year, I also I added Jared Falk, of course, from Drumeo, who's a really great buddy of mine. And then later on from that, Yamaha says, "Well, how about we bring Dave Weckl?"
What about?
I said, "Okay, that sounds great."
Let's
So
do that.
that year, it was a huge year. 2014. I think it was the first year we sold out the festival, so
Okay.
that was great. And then since then, Bernard Purdy, Jerry Brown, Benny Greb, Will Calhoun, Mark Kelso, Michael Shack. I mean,
I have a ton of
name,
people, great musician.
incredible. Daphnis Prieto, one of my favorite drummers, just an amazing person, an amazing drummer. He was great. Chad Wackerman, Tommy Igo, Russ Miller, Ryan Van Poeterijn. I mean, the names, it just keeps going on and on. We had Emmanuelle Caplet. When she came, it was incredible, right? It just blew the roof off the place. She was amazing. And then this last year was the 10th anniversary. We had Brian Fraser Moore. We had Rashid Williams. We had Keith Carlock. We had Senri Kawaguchi and Sarah Thawer. I mean, they played together. It was unbelievable. So these are the caliber of artists that are coming to the festival, which is great. But your question is like, how do we put this thing on?
How you manage that?
how do I organize that? How do I get those people, right?
Yeah.
So it really does have a lot to do with the drum industry. Okay.
Sure.
So I have become really good friends with the reps for these different companies like Yamaha drums. Obviously, I'm a Yamaha artist, so I'm already part of that family. So those guys are super supportive. They've been supporting the festival forever. Roland drums is awesome support. Mapex drums has been great. Some years we have a Gretsch artist, some years we have a Sonar artist, right? So it really kind of comes from relationships that I've been able to build with these different companies. And then I ask them, I say, hey, listen, I want to have a great artist this year at the festival. Here's the people I'm thinking of. Can you reach out to them? And they go, absolutely. They want to support it. So these companies, they all support the festival in such a great way. Zildjian supports it. Sabian supports it. Meinl supports it. Of course, Peisty. I mean, it's just a great thing. And it's all about relationships with these people. So
just to add on of what you say, two things, two add-ons. Victoria is very good scene. I've been in Victoria 3 times, and the people are very supportive. You can really see a family kind of energy when you go in Victoria. You go in the main street, and it's a few bars with bands and all. And second thing, the drumming industry in Canada is super nice too. All the reps, and they are very pro helping the people. Well, let's do a clinic, let's do that. The store too, not just but there are stores helping too. So, and you are lucky to be at that part too, because it's very a growing industry still, even with internet and all. So, and like you said, it's communication and talking with the provider. And it's in Canada we have a very good support, whatever brand you are in general.
Yeah, absolutely. There's just it's one of those in drumming we're all brothers and sisters, right? That's the way I look at it. We all get together, we share information, we want each other to be successful. It's an incredible community. And all of these companies that support the festival, they show us that every time they bring in these amazing artists, and they're always so generous with their help and support. So that's a big part of it. Now, when it started out, the very first year, there wasn't, nobody really knew anything about this. So it took some time to kind of develop those relationships. And I would say now that, a lot of those reps are now really good friends of mine, so I'm calling on my friends to say, hey, let's make this happen for Victoria again this year. So this year was actually supposed to be very special. We were actually going to do a full Canadian version of the festival.
Okay.
And I went after, for me, the epitome of Canada is a band called the Tragically Hip.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Johnny Fay was the drummer of the Tragically Hip for so many years. He was just an incredible musician. What he came up with, the parts for the Tragically Hip. And so I thought, you know what, I want to try to have Johnny Fay at the Victoria Drum Fest. Yes. And so about 3 months of he and I chatting on the phone back and forth, we finally made it happen, and he agreed to be at this year's festival. I also wanted to do Larnell Lewis again, have the first time to have somebody as a second guest at the festival. So he was a no-brainer. I definitely wanted to have Larnell, and he's just on fire and such an incredible drummer, but a super, super nice human being. And so that was my next step. From there, it was contacting Roland and saying, hey, listen, I want to have an artist. How about Mike Sleeth, right? It just plays with Shawn Mendes. And they said, yeah, let's figure this out. Let's make this happen. And sure enough, there you go. Mike Sleeth is on the bill. And then with my friends from Apex, I was able to get Christian Tana organized from My Mother Earth. So another great Canadian band, right? And so that was the lineup that we were supposed to be doing basically 2 weeks from now, or just over 2 weeks from now. But of course, everything's been put on hold. So
it's
really, we're just waiting to hopefully find out if we can do something like this in the fall. We'll reschedule for the fall, and if not, then we'll push it to I guess next year. But you know, the idea this year was for the all Canadian theme. So
I wish you all the best with that. I mean, because it is hard to put something together. I say that because I was a member of the Drum Etc. magazine. I was one of the editor with like great guys like Daniel and Stephen Chamberlain, and Frank Camus was the editor in chief. And just to put like text and put in order one magazine per 2 months, because all that was the idea of Ralph Angelillo, was very hard. It was a lot of work translating, correcting mistakes, talking with sponsor. I saw all that around, and it's a lot of energy. So of course for you was like a 6 month, 8 months of preparation for sure.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, it takes 6 months to put the festival, to organize the festival, and the festival is 6 hours. So 6 months for 6 hours, and it's I must be kind of a bit crazy to do it because, you know, it does take a lot of my time. But how it pays off is that, you know, all of these students basically are inspired. They want to play the drums. They get to see and meet these incredible drummers, and they're inspired, and they basically want to you know, continue playing the drums. So for me, that's the big deal. And of course, what happens, the spinoff, is that people go out to stores and they buy drum sets, and they buy cymbals, and they buy sticks. And so it's helping the local economy for that. And then all of the companies that support it, of course, people are out there buying their products because they love to see so-and-so play, you know, that drum set or that cymbal, and they want to support that. So it's sort of a win for Victoria, for the drum community. It's a win for the stores, and it's a win for all of the companies that support it. So
it's a win-win for sure for all the sizes. And something too, you wrote books and you make a festival. Like, let's talk in 20 years from now again, and you have no idea how many people you will have influenced because of what you've done. Because all this, I remember my first time in the Montreal Drum Fest in 94, 95. I was a kid, and I still remember the drummers. I still remember to see Terry Bozzio with his Mapex black at that time. You know what I mean? Like old setup and drummers like that, and they inspired me. And after that, same for your books. People like I wrote a book, not 5 but 1, and this one I've been sold maybe 2,000 times, and I gave away. So maybe there's like 4,000 of the copies out there. Online and in paper. But sometimes it's funny, I subbed one guy in a school one day, and I like a few years ago, and the exercise was my book. so they were using one of the exercises in my book. So you never know how many people you can influence, and this is good. So another thing, you helping the community of the industry of drumming, because it's important to make it to give like food to those guys and girls, and enjoy it, because sometimes YouTube has too much information, for example, but if it's well directed, you can get whatever, like good things. For example, like you just said, you recorded your book, like right now, complete first book. So this is very good and proficient and instructional example, because people can take the book and they can look at the video and can see and make comparison. And they can really see how proper you sit down, how you do the exercise on your way. So this is super nice. And before we didn't see that much, but now there's a few people doing that, and I hope you will do your 4th other books.
Yes, it's well, you know, I have with my website, I basically did a lot of videos, you know, maybe a year ago, where I filmed just very short clips, and I love doing it. And so when this you know, pandemic sort of struck, and I realized, okay, I'm not gonna be able to teach in person, I was like, great, I get to dive into doing all that video stuff. So yeah, no, that's a great aspect of it. But really, it always comes down to inspiration. It's always about inspiring the students somehow. So these videos do that, but the festival does that, and the teaching and the clinics and the master classes. all of these kind of things. That's what it's all about. That's what I strive to do all the time, is just try to inspire people. So it's a lot of fun. Again, that's why I say Dom Famularo is my mentor. It doesn't get much more inspirational than Dom Famularo. So
actually, you just jump into my other question. I wanted to know, you do drum clinics and master class. What in general, what are your goals? I asked that question to Chris because Chris Lesso do a lot of drum clinics too. So when you do a clinic and you jump on stage, what do you think, or what you want to bring to the public in general? What information?
Yeah, I mean, I guess for me, because I have all the books. So, a lot of times I'll say, okay, this clinic's going to be on Latin, or this clinic's going to be on funk, or whatever it may be. So I have a lot of material to draw on from those. But really, it just comes down to being able to explain things in a comfortable way. And that's the teacher aspect. So I love it when I get to do a drum clinic and I'll present some type of idea or some type of drum beat that I want them to work on. But what I'm going to do is I'm really looking for questions. I really want that interaction with the audience. Yeah, I want to answer that question, because I can talk and talk and talk about the drum beat and what's involved in doing it, because I've been teaching for a good many years. So that's what I love. I love the interaction with the audience, more so than the subject matter. The subject matter is gonna, I'm gonna deliver something, but the whole idea is let's interact, have ourselves a good time. I've been doing a bunch of clinics lately. Actually, there's a lot of people out there. I don't want to talk too much about products, but the EAD10 from Yamaha,
it's
amazing. And so I've actually been doing some clinics for Yamaha, just explaining what the EAD10 does and things like that. So sometimes I'm doing product type clinics, other ones I'm doing educational. So,
but this is good because you mentioned that product. I mean, can be whatever other brand, but now we're in a moment in the life you can take technology and make it proficient for you, and using it that you have an idea in mind, you can with technology bring it for real. Something it was impossible before, even just recording. Like back 25 years ago, you have to rent a studio, pay like $2,000, and you're like, I don't know how I'm gonna make it. Now you can have your sound card, like a Focusrite for like $200, 2 cheap mic, and you can even record something for you. And this is a good new level. You can put triggers like on it, make weird sound, or even have a good sound, or emulate something, put a USB card, whatever, and you can go for it. And I don't think there's enough explanation because you can put weird sound, but you won't never make it happen with that. But the way you will do, and I saw you playing, it's cool because you can bring new ideas and bring this to another level. And the people doesn't know how to use those machine. It's impossible for them to create. You know what I mean? It's a good tool.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I use it all the time. I'm constantly trying to create different sounds. I use it as a way of recording. It's like another microphone, right?
It's cool.
So everything that I record is like my studio is like an overhead mic, a kick mic, and then the EAD10. So it's a great tool, that's for sure.
We have like around 5 minutes ish. Time fly. Just for finishing that, I want to know, because you talk about your teaching, you're doing shows, how you manage your life with your family. Like, I mean, you have a crazy life. Actually, I don't have kids. I have a dog, and I do half less of what you do, and I have problem to manage my schedule. So how you do that?
It's called a huge support system. My wife and daughters they support everything that I do. They're involved. When it comes to the festival, they're out there, handing out the flyers or putting out the programs on the chairs and the earplugs. My wife is greeting people at the door. It's a real family sort of event there. And of course, it takes a lot of patience to be able to put up with having a drum studio downstairs. We live upstairs, and downstairs is the drum studio. I mean, it takes a lot of patience there. So the support is huge to do that.
Sure.
They realize how important it is for me to go out and play gigs. I do something kind of different than the average musician out there, because I'm very, very fortunate that my job is teaching. So when I play gigs, I take the gig money and I put it in a vacation fund. And so we go as a family on a vacation every year, just from me playing gigs. So that's the way I do that. And so there's some give and take. I'm away, but I'm out there earning some bucks to put towards a cool trip. We were actually supposed to be in Italy and France for spring break this year, and we had to cancel the trip 5 days before. But I think that the Eiffel Tower is still going to be there, and the Coliseum is be there, and so we're, as a family, we're going to go in the future, that's for sure. But it's a big support. So, yeah.
But you just mentioned something, because you're traveling, and this is amazing, because this is one point sometimes musician doesn't think about. You can be the best musician, but if you don't have a life, like, because you said, my family supports me, we like to go with a trip, so you are like a wallet of experience. You're keeping a lot of energy and emotion, and you will be better on your instrument, because you don't need to necessarily practice and play. This vibe of your trip will be reflecting on your playing. And I sometimes I see that, because when I was around 18 to 22, I was playing, practicing 10 hours a day, plus teaching, plus going at gigs, but I didn't have vacation for me, never. And one day, one of my teachers told me, Eric, now you should put your drumstick on the side and go for a trip and live a life. And I understand after that, and this is good examples. The drummer should do a trip or something with their girlfriend or family, whatever, one or two times a year. It's good.
Yeah, I think so. And when I go on a vacation, or when we go on a vacation as a family, I usually go places where I can study drums. So we went to Cuba, right? And we got to see some amazing music there. Went to New Orleans, and I got to take a lesson with Stanton Moore and his teacher, Johnny Vodakovich. So I try to cater our lessons or our vacations around where we can get lessons. And because my daughters are both drummers, the goal, with us going to Italy was to, get some lessons in Italy, with them too, like a family, coming up. So yeah, I'm very, very fortunate that I have, as I say, this incredible support. And it's a great life, that's for sure.
So before we go, I want you to tell us where you can buy your book, lessons, where the people can get information for the Victoria Drum Fest if it's postponed or whatever. So tell us about your school and about the festival and your book.
Sure, yeah. So Groove Studios is basically the best way to contact us is just drumgroove.com. So you can go to the website. There's a whole bunch of videos of me playing a whole bunch of different drum beats from my book and things like that. You can contact me through there. The Victoria Drum Fest is victoriadrumfest.ca. That has all of the updates of what's going on with the festival. And my books, you can actually order them from any Long McQuaid across Canada. I haven't got any distribution in the United States, because most of the people that buy my books are from British Columbia. But if you were at a Long McQuaid in Toronto, you can go in and order my book. So yeah, it's great. It's a lot of fun.
I'm sure. And they give good support, Long and McQuaid, just for mention. Anyway, whatever store in Canada or even the state I've been there, they work very well, because if you order online, sometimes for something vintage, it's okay, or a good deal. But if you want something like a book or something new, I still recommend to go in your local store, because you help the local business, and at the second time you will have a service, and a good service. And Long and McQuaid, they give a good service. They always have been very helpful for me when I was touring all Canada. So I really appreciate their service. But well, I thank you so much, buddy, for coming. I really appreciate you give time, and you tell us about all of your effort for your festival. And by the way, there's a chat on the site of the YouTube. There's people asking sometimes questions, and they say hi to you. So if you have 5 minutes, go just chat with them a little bit. They will be happy to say hi.
Yes, that sounds great. Okay, thank you so much for having me on.
Hey man, I will see you soon for sure.
Okay.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you very much for our friend Murray Creed. Just check out the website for the festival. He has Instagram and all. You can see the update for the Victoria Drum Fest. So it's a pretty good way to see the event will happen or not. Just before our next guest, just to remind, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, the Facebook, and the Instagram. Of course, my Instagram is not full of information right now, but it's gonna come by the time. I have a lot of new news I will say in the next month about the platform of Drumfills Kafé in September that will grow up. So and I will have more things coming out, but I don't want to tease too much, but it will be pretty good stuff coming out in September. Next week, just don't 2 weeks, May 20th, I have Maxime Diomin Richard Irwin, Alex Lays, and Daru Jones will be on the show. Tomorrow there's a show. It's the French version from Montreal. So I have Sylvain Portelance, Joanne Blondin, and Philippe Gauthier-Boudreau. Please, if you're curious, you can go check it out if you don't speak the language. But every 2 weeks I have an international show, and the French is every week. Just before we go to the guest, if you're new on the channel, Drumfills Kafé, it's more like the concept is to the people can talk. You can go on YouTube, and the reason why it's live is because you can rewatch it, but I always think it's good. You can see the interaction at the moment and see what the people think, because you can see them playing, but it's super important to see how the musicians are or the people in the business, so you will understand more how it is to be a drummer in the real life. And I want to have people from all different platforms in the world of drumming. Can be like a doctor treating like muscle, like a rep from a music store, whatever. So I will have different people. So if you don't know much of the channel, I invite you to go to the Drumfills Kafé Facebook, and you will see all the artists I had by the past month. And you can go on YouTube right now after the show to rewatch all the shows because they are all recorded there. So the next guest and the last guest, he started to play at 12 years old, a self-taught drummer. He played blues, Southern gospel, Motown. He played with different bands. He has a bachelor degree from the University of East Carolina. He has a master's degree, North Texas University. He studied with Jim Hall there. At the age of 25, he wrote the drum book Advanced Funk Studies, a book I finished and I love it. It's one of my favorite. 12 years touring, Grammys artist, Juice Newton. He's a DW, Istanbul, Mehmet Evans, ProMark endorsee. I would like to welcome Mr. Rick Latham. How are you doing?
Hey, Eric. How are you, man?
I'm pretty good. You are pretty well sitting on a cool set.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get you in the picture here. Yeah, I don't know if my system is working okay for you, but yeah, I can see you, and I hope you can hear me okay.
Yeah, we can hear you well, and there was no lag, and all is pretty good. Thank you. Thank you for being on the show.
Yeah, thank you, man. Thank you. I'm sorry, I'm kind of set up for teaching, and I don't have a camera facing me, so I'll be looking at you right here. So.
Shame on you. Shame on you.
I hope that's okay. I hope that's okay.
It's perfect. Actually, you will put people so jealous because you have an amazing setup in your place. So that's amazing.
Oh, thank you, man. You can't really see the whole room, but I have a mixing console and my workstation kind of over there in front of me. And yeah, this is a beautiful set of DWs that I love here. This is it's one of the last Coca-Cola sets that they made, actually. So,
wow.
And I have another set over here beside me for students when I'm doing real lessons, when we get back to real lessons. But been doing a lot of stuff online, which is good. And I just finished for the day. I'm still teaching at MI, Musicians Institute. So I had some classes and lessons today. So, yeah, wow. So it's a pretty good shot.
Yeah. And by the way, it's good because you have that opportunity to teach in person to person, but now you have that too to do online, because a lot of drummers cannot do that online right now because they don't have access to their drum. But you're one of the lucky one. You can do both, and it's pretty great.
Right. It's really great, man, because it's really I was talking to a friend the other day, and it's not so different for us musicians that have studios at home, because I'm usually home anyway, working. I mean, it's a drag that we can't go out and be sociable, but it is nice, and I'm fortunate to be able to have the setup here that I have, for sure.
Yeah, it reminded me when I was doing too much studio, my friend, they were telling me, "Hey, you have the studio tan, like you have the sun tan,
yeah,
and studio
exactly.
tanning."
Yeah. I've definitely got the studio tan, man. I'm as white as you can get, I think.
Well, but so let's start. Tell us about why you started to play the drums at 12. Because I didn't know you start at 12. Some drummers start at 25, some at 2, but you start at the beginning of the middle school, kind of, right?
Yeah. I started. I was initially self-taught. I got a set of drums for Christmas, and it's funny because my parents, they had some great music playing in the house, like big band music and pop singers from the day, from like Joe Williams with the Count Basie Orchestra, stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
Tommy Dorsey, Jimmy Dorsey, and I listened to a lot of music growing up, and then all of a sudden too, when I started watching TV more, my parents let me stay up late at night to watch like Johnny Carson when Buddy Rich or Louis Bellson would be on. So yeah, so that was a real treat, man. So it's funny, man. When I saw Buddy, I just I know Buddy Rich was such an influence on so many drummers, but
For sure.
once I saw Buddy and the Doc Severinsen Orchestra with Ed Shaughnessy, and I would see Louis playing, and it just inspired me, So I just decided I wanted to be a drummer, and that's how I started. And then I started taking high school band and stuff like that, college. Great.
And you did something very like pretty not rare but very good. You did a master degree. A lot of people. I did the bachelor, but I didn't jump to the master. You did the master, so this is
at North Texas. Actually, they're a little bit upset with me because I left before I actually got my degree. I went on the road with an Elvis impersonator, man. Really.
Oh yeah, okay.
And lived in Vegas for a couple of years, but yeah, North Texas was great, and I was actually teaching snare drum and marimba. I had a scholarship, teaching assistantship to go to school. So because I had such a great training from Harold Jones at East Carolina.
Wow.
And yeah, I was able to get the teaching assistantship, which was great. And, playing the lab bands, percussion ensemble. I was also writing and teaching the drum line at North Texas. So very busy, but teaching undergrads as well. So yeah, it was a great experience, man. Great.
For sure. And you just said something too. You were like kind of a young age to be assistant to master degree, but you also wrote one of the best book ever wrote at your age of 25 years old. You didn't, some kind of book like that can be wrote at I don't know 50 years old, but you did it at 25. So,
yeah, well, thank you. Yeah, all the teachers, all of my teachers, professors at North Texas, really encouraged me, to write the book because, that's when the late 70s, early 80s, when all the linear kind of stuff. I mean, linear drumming started a long time ago. Before that, but that was the time where, Tower of Power, Steve Gadd, all this stuff started kind of becoming more radio friendly, I guess you might say. So we were always working on that stuff, and it just was very natural to me to transcribe it and figure it out. So, all the time for my lesson, I would always go in with Jim Hall and say, "Hey man, check out what I did this week," and I would play some transcription or something, and
so cool.
everybody. Yeah, it was just incredible, man, that they suggested, hey, man, you should write a book. And at that time, there was really not too many contemporary linear funk kind of books out. So, yeah, that's kind of what happened.
And that, I guess that was challengeful because you had to build something never had been really written, and you have to put those ideas in order it makes sense for the people. You know what I mean? So
I tried to. I hope they do. And the funk book, like I was telling someone a few days ago, the funk book is really just a compilation of licks that were kind of happening at that time in music. And my second book, Contemporary Drum Set Techniques, I think is more of my concept and philosophy, or how to actually come up with linear patterns and stuff. But the funk book was, it took time to figure out, how to really format it, to make it where it would make sense for somebody studying the book.
Yeah, and with no computer at that time. Because you wrote the book on paper, right?
I wrote every note in the book, man, and it's still actually. I have a copy right here. It's funny that you can still see that in the book, man. I wrote every note with a like a ruler, and pen, and yeah, crazy. I was crazy. I can't believe it. So, and then the second book, of course, there was Finale software and stuff. But yeah, I was really quite driven at that time. I was studying a lot and going to school. So, university. So you're in that mindset of studying and writing and transcribing. So it was a flowing process. Unbelievable. When I think about it now, it would be difficult. A lot of my friends are going back to school and getting like a master's degree or something. I can't imagine going back to school now. I'm so into the everyday playing and working and stuff now. To get back in that mindset would be crazy. But
yeah, it takes time too when you have a path, because the people, maybe they don't know, but you were for a long time living between California and Italy. So if you have to study, the only way could have been by online classes.
Yeah,
I guess,
exactly. I was living in Milano for the last 4 years, part time, kind of back and forth. But now I'm back in the USA more permanently, but still traveling to Asia and Europe as before.
Okay. And do you now the COVID arrived and all, but did you had a few like touring like planned, like, or clinics or stuff like you should do right now, but it won't happen?
Yeah. I was actually supposed to be in Italy actually when all of this coronavirus stuff started, and I had a clinic tour. This year is the 40th anniversary of the Advanced Funk Studies book, and I was supposed to be in Europe on a clinic tour actually right now, in Germany and Italy. So, and also the Frankfurt trade show that happened, in April, that was canceled. So, yeah, I was supposed to be there for a couple of companies. So yeah, so I'm making the best of it back here.
So you were doing the promotion of the reissue of those books, but it's never too late. But I know they can be found everywhere, like in school or like music store, online order. But when you launch it, did you do something special, or are they just a reissue version, or you added some things in it, or how you manage that reissue?
No, actually, it's the 40th anniversary, and it's been in continuous publication since 1980. It actually never went out of publication, but a lot of people, since I was traveling and doing other things, and I wrote my second book, a lot of people thought that the first book was not happening, but it's still, for 40 years, have been used at schools and universities and all around the world, which is amazing that it still seems challenging and pertinent today, which is great. So I initially self-published it and started advertising it myself. I did an article for Modern Drummer, actually, one of the first Steve Gadd articles. I transcribed a bunch of Steve Gadd stuff, and that stuff some of it is in the book. So that's kind of how it became known. And Modern Drummer really was a huge help in advertising the book. And I used to advertise in the back. I had a little classified ad in the back, and I sold the books off of my dining room table, from my house, crazy.
Wow. And it's good you say that. You mentioned that because I remember I told you my drum teacher, like, they were asking us to buy the books, the 2 books, back in college, not back in university, college. So I remember, and that's a very good help for the writers or musician like you, because the people doesn't understand that when you make copies, you cut the royalties, but not just that. It's that thing I've been thinking, and it's a lifestyle. It's a life for someone. So I remember my teacher at college, they were very like, buy those books. So I remember I took your yellow book was my first, and my teacher gave me 2-3 first example in one page I have to do with some groove. And I told you, like, they make me do the 1 to 10 drum solo complete.
Right.
I have to do it to read by my heart and all. And now you have a drum. Could you make only the start of the solo one? Pa-pa, boom.
Yeah, sure.
Something like that.
Yeah, I don't remember it.
No, just the beginning for what is the real feel?
Yeah. I remember the first couple of bars, but the real feel, I don't know. First of all, how the drums are going to sound, Let's check it out. How's that? How's the sound of the drums?
It sounded good. There's a little lag in the video, but
Okay.
but it's just for the sound. If you can, I don't know, like
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. So if there's student listening, that's the shit. That's the crew.
Yeah.
It should sound like that.
Yeah. Thank you, man. Thank you. Yeah, it's amazing because the solos actually. That's great that you mentioned that because the solos have been used at a lot of schools for like juries and things like that. So it's nice. That's one reason why I wrote the solos. So you're not only learning the licks, but you learn a little music. How to play music.
And it's hard to find a drum solo written, not too hard or not too, but you have some hard. I think it's the number 10 with the cowbell to get something like that. But this is a hard one. But there's some like normal for people. It's not black page, for example. You have to
right
crazy for with million of notes.
Yeah.
So this is a good example. But we have you on drums. You were talking about the blue book was more you. Do you have an exercise in mind you could show to the drummer, the public? You would like they can practice or something?
Well, yeah. I mean, I have there's one section. This is the blue book, the contemporary drum set techniques, and so there's one section in the book that I actually like quite a bit. That's they have kind of crazy names. Just what I came up with at the time, but I call it hand doubles against single bass drum strokes, or bass drum doubles against hand strokes. So these are little exercises like this to create linear. I'll play a very simple one and then I'll use it in a groove. So the first, a simple one would be something like. Okay, and then a little more complex. The double would be in the bass drum.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good example.
So something like that, when you play it faster in tempo.
Yeah, that's a good example. It reminds me, I have an exercise kind of like you. It's like only hi-hat, kick, snare, but I do a double every four, like tu tita tu tu tita tu tita tu tita tu tita tu tita tu tu tita tu tu
right,
and you reverse at the or you can with one, or sometimes I make my student they want to practice your double bass drum, take that double with the double bass drum too, and reverse. The first time you do right left and you do left right after.
Right. I have sticking in the book too, and you can change and do open-handed. Also, talking about that with the bass drum with the doubles and stuff, it's important that the feeling of that stuff is what's important. You can play. Everybody can play this
square.
To make it really feel good.
Yeah,
and everything in my book is really based on 16th notes. I found that just easier to read, and you know, like Gary Chaffee's stuff is great, man. I love Gary's stuff,
Yep.
and his stuff is based more on groupings, you know, like
Uh-huh.
groupings of 5s or 7s or whatever. But I like to do it all on 16th notes. It's just easier to read and for people to understand. I think just quicker. But
Yeah.
you know, both ways are good.
And it's to make an add-on to that. You can even replace the hi-hat by a tom, or play the right hand on the right, for example, so that it can be creative. You know what I mean?
Exactly. That's another thing that there's a section in the book where you play patterns and then you just use it around the drum set. You start voicing it. I call it voice displacement or voice substitution.
It makes sense.
And play it around the drum kit.
Well, thank you for the example. It was
pretty,
pretty,
sure.
Well, to follow with exactly what you were saying, you did your technique and all. How you could manage to writing books, studying, teaching, touring at the same time, but not just locally. You tour all around the world. How you are able to manage? You have a crazy like scheduling in your computer, or
No, I have no scheduling.
No, I know. Yeah, well,
it's sort of up here, you know. But no, man, it's just, you know, you get into that mode. I mean, I have a great family life too, and you know, I try to spend time with my family as well, and you know, just try to balance it all out. But I like to stay busy. I do like to work, as most musicians, of course, we all like to work. But you know, it's fun. I enjoy it. You know, I was 10 years with Edgar Winter, 10 years with Juice Newton almost, and you know, worked with Chuck Rainey when I lived in Dallas, and then I moved out here and started doing TV work and stuff. And you know, just, you know, the more you do, the more you want to do, I guess.
For sure.
You know.
And do you have advisors for a young drummer watching the show, like they're in college or whatever, like they want to become like someone like you? I mean, touching different different parts of drumming.
Well, that's a good question, and thanks for asking that, because I think for young drummers, man, I think it's important to really play many different styles. You know, study different styles. A lot of really young drummers, you know, they don't know anybody before Neil Peart, you know, and which, you know, is okay, but there's a lot that happened before Neil Peart, you know.
Yeah,
So you know, nothing against Neil Peart, but I'm just saying, you know, the history of drumming is important. Gospel drumming, funk, you know, rock, you know, R&B, soul, Latin, jazz. You know, I studied a lot of jazz, and I'm a good big band drummer. I love that. I never get to do that, but occasionally I'll have to read, you know, in the studio, read a chart and play with a big band kind of feel.
It's amazing.
So I love that. I love that. And I love, it's fun playing with a big band, you know, I really love that. But, you know, I learned a lot of musical styles, and at that time too, when I was going to school, you know, I think that people, I don't know the word I'm trying to think of, but just the way we were thinking about being a more rounded player, not being famous. You know, we didn't want to be a famous rock drummer. We just wanted to be a good working drummer,
for sure,
that could do everything. Like you're playing in Cirque, you know, this is great. You have to read, you have to know electronics, you have to play different styles. You know, this is important, you know.
Yeah, and it's good what you mentioned about history of drumming. I remember my drum teacher. I have a few, but a few of them, they make me discover all the first drummer, like Chick Webb, Howard Blakey, guys like that. And even if I was not into that, and I was not into that at all, you know, at that moment. Imagine a 16 years old, like metal and punk rock and stuff like that. But they said, no, you will have to learn that. And I remember, like, I think I don't remember, maybe 17, 16. I discovered like newer band, but like all the Michel Camilo approaches, or like tribal tech stuff, you know, and I was able to find my in between, you know, like the vintage at that time was too vintage, but I was listening to them. But those bands, they were more talking to me. And I think sometimes people think about jazz and it's like, It's ding, 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 and it's a coffee place or restaurant fancy, but it's not just jazz is so large. So it's very good what you mentioned. People, the people listening, you should go back and just checking out what had been done until today and try to discover that.
Exactly, exactly. That was a big part of studying, in college, because not only, I mean, I was an orchestral player. I played a lot of orchestra music, a lot of great orchestral music with the orchestra in North Texas, which is really incredible, symphony orchestra. Did percussion ensemble stuff, all the famous percussion stuff. In undergraduate school, I actually won the concerto competition, which was students competing to play with the orchestra. So I played the Mio concerto for percussion and orchestra, which is not an easy piece.
No.
so this was in my junior year of school. So I was learning all this different stuff, and it's funny because Harold Jones at East Carolina, I didn't even touch the drum set study. No, he didn't. He had a drum set in his office, but he never played it. And I would always play it before my lesson, and then I would have my marimba lesson, or timpani lesson or whatever we were studying at that moment. But I was playing drum set in the jazz band and ensemble at school and local bands and stuff. But I really didn't study drum set until I went to North Texas. Crazy.
Yeah, but it's a good way to learn different percussion.
Yeah,
you will bring that kind of melody on your drum set in some ways,
Exactly, and the technique, I was so fortunate again to have great teachers. The technique is a great thing, and learning the sound of your instrument. I think a lot of drummers don't really study that sound, how to pull the sound out of the drums, and how to really make a good sound, balance, of the instrument. This is important. It's not just all about playing fast and loud. So
No.
the technique. Yeah, sorry.
Just to continue what you were saying, because you are a good example. You're doing gigs, you're living for that too, and you did a lot of different gigs. So, and studio gig, you're not just in your practicing in your own studio. So this is important anyway. Also with different rooms. If you're in a bar in Nashville, or if you're in a stadium, or if you're like in the orchestral place, you won't play the drums. You will play it the same way, but not the same level, and you will adapt your playing, and
Exactly.
the sound of the drum will be the same, will sounding great, and you had different volumes.
Exactly, and that's getting a good sound. That's something I'm actually working on a new book. I have several books kind of in the process, but one is developing your signature sound.
Okay.
So and you I'm sure you've noticed this and have experienced it in your own playing, I'm sure too, because you're a good player, seasoned player. But a really professional guy can make anything sound good. And it could be 10 different guys play the same drum set. It sounds 10 different ways. But if a really great drummer, I can't think of a certain name, but if a great drummer sits down at that drum set, he's going to sound like himself. And it will sound totally different than anybody else. So that's an interesting thing that you do learn, I think, a lot more from classical training than you do from pop and rock,
Totally.
kind of training. And it's good. It's all good,
It's all a work in progress too. You will make your mistakes, and you will learn from those, and you will tune the drums, you will change your playing. So it's a work in process. And we are always our student in some ways. We always learn. So
yeah, always. That's why I still enjoy teaching so much, because I'm still learning as well. Every time I teach a student, it's and not only teaching, private teaching, but in the studio too. I'm always learning different things about sound and the way drums, microphones and acoustics. You never stop. It's endless.
Hey, by the way, the time is almost over. Time flies fast. We will have done around 40 minutes.
Sure. No, okay, cool.
Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. You're one of my 10 inspiration when I was in college, and now still you're a great person. Keep that. Better than everything. Can be the best drummer on earth, but no personality or not good person, you won't change nothing. But you are the both of the world, and stay like that. We like that.
Thank you, Eric. I appreciate that very much. I would like to just quick one little promotion spot.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
No, that's cool. But I just wanted to mention that my books have just been published in digital form by Hudson Music. So you can buy the books online, like EPUB type, through Hudson Music. And they do a great job with all the great books now. They've got a huge catalog. So you can still buy hard copies of the books. My books are distributed all over the world by Alfred Music. So you can go to their website or Amazon or anywhere. And also my DVD from DW, from the Drum Channel, all about the groove. And then I also have the 25th anniversary Advanced Funk Studies and Contemporary Drum Set Techniques that have both of the old VHS videos on CD, on DVD, and great interviews with the great Louis Belson and Ed Shaughnessy. Wow. That's the 25th anniversary. And now we're celebrating the 40th anniversary. So, check out Alfred. Alfred Music is my international distributor, and Hudson Music for the digital.
And if the people want drum lessons with you, how they reach you?
Sure, I'm teaching online, and this actually, my system works really well online, one-to-one. Sorry about the lag here, but we discussed that the other day. I think it's the interfacing of this system, your system, the possible. YouTube. Yeah, it's a little bit crazy, but it's usually very smooth and very clean. But people can contact me at funkyrick@earthlink.net. So on Facebook, Instagram, anywhere. And also when we get back to normal life, I'm teaching live lessons as well here in Los Angeles. So,
well, yeah, I hope it's going to be fine for you. I'm sure I'll be passing, and you will continue to do a lot of good work like you already have done. So, well, thank you for passing. Thank you for coming. I would like to invite you again next year, the second season.
Sure.
So, for different things, maybe more lessons. So let's keep in touch, and I wish you be safe, stay in touch.
Thank you, Eric. Same to you, man. All the best. Stay healthy, stay well, and to everyone out there, take care.
Thanks. Thank you for everyone to have been part of the show today. Just a little reminder, if you didn't see the show today, you can watch it all in YouTube. All the shows are already recorded there. Tomorrow there's a show in French. The next edition of the World Edition of Drumfills Kafé is May 20th. I have Maxime Diomin, Richard Irwin, Alex Lays, and Daru Jones. Same time, 6 hours. At 6 p.m. Eastern time, so New York, Toronto time. Tomorrow is at 8 p.m., like the same as Eastern time also. And subscribe to the YouTube channel, the Facebook, the Instagram, and you're more than welcome to pass by and say hi. The channel will grow like more and more. And like I said, like in September, the channel will go bigger. So it will be with things not ever done, but like new ideas. So I hope you're gonna watch it out in September. So thank you very much, and I wish you a good day. My name is Eric Boudreau. Stay tuned.